Salman Rushdie has written 12 novels, as well as several other works of nonfiction, anthologies, on and on. His latest novel is now out. It's called 2 Years, 8 Months, and 28 Nights. Salman Rushdie joins me now. It's so nice to see you. Thanks so much for being here. So the story moves from the 1100s in Spain with a Muslim philosopher to New York City in the near future. What did you say, sort of?
Sort of now, yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So is it unfair for me to ask you in 60 seconds or less to describe the story to us?
Yeah, no, I can do that.
Please.
I think basically it's about these supernatural creatures called the jinn, which is where the word genie comes from,
yeah.
who live in a parallel world, but one of them, female, princess of the jinn, likes human beings in general and smart ones in particular, comes and has a love affair in the 12th century with an Arab philosopher, produces kids like a factory, and these kids descend through time, and later on the dark jinn, the wicked ones, attack the earth, and she comes to the defense with the help of her progeny.
That was only 40 seconds. That was excellent, Salman.
Yeah.
Now, this philosopher is the philosopher after whom you are named, yes?
Yes.
How'd that come about?
Well, my grandfather was not called Rushdie, but my father, who was a student of philosophy, liked the ideas of this great philosopher who's known in the West as Averroes, who's an Aristotelian philosopher who's a great influence on Thomas Aquinas and so on. Anyway, so my father changed the family name to Rushdie as a kind of follower of Ibn Rushd.
Now, you don't need to be a math major, even though I was for a year, and then I changed to something more appropriate. 2 years, 8 months, and 28 nights, obviously, is 1,001 nights.
Obviously.
So is there a Scheherazade kind of thing happening
Well,
here?
there isn't a Scheherazade character. I guess I'm in that role. I'm the one telling too many stories.
And you were looking good, too, let me say. So
thank
that's
you.
perfect. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead. So is that the whole...
Yeah. No, I mean, it's really what I'm trying to say is that here's a world of stories, that particularly if you live in a great city like New York, there's a crowd of stories around you all the time. You bump into stories in the streets and etc. So I wanted to have this sense of my story, the main story that I told you, pushing its way through many other stories. And so, yeah,
So you are Scheherazade here.
Except with the sex change.
We don't have to get into that. Now, you are a wildly accomplished author. You'd agree with that, the 12 novels or whatever. But which are you more proud of? You're proud of your writing, which is historic, or of your incredibly powerful performance in this?
Welcome to the launch of Kafka's Motorbike, the greatest book of our time. Obviously, except for your books, Mr. Rushdie, which are also very good.
You were brilliant in that. I mean, I'm not a critic. You were brilliant.
I'm really glad you showed that as my most important work.
I think it is, and so we're in the same page.
Absolutely. And I was really disappointed that they didn't put me in the second one.
I understand. I felt the same way.
But also there was a moment in that party scene
Yes.
when Hugh Grant kissed me.
Really?
And that was my first screen kiss, and it didn't make it into the final cut.
It's very sad, but you can get the outtakes. I spoke to you on the radio the other day, and it's pretty clear, even though you didn't say this, you're not crazy about talking about the fatwa from 26 years ago. That's a fair statement. That was then, this is now, but it's not that was then. I don't even know what it means. They renewed this thing a year ago. So why aren't you in hiding again?
Well, it isn't they. I mean, the point is that it really has been over a long time. I mean, every so often somebody shakes a fist in my direction, but I don't, it hasn't.
So it's not just that you're being brave. It's a non-thing.
It hasn't been a thing for like 16 years.
Is it through the prism of what you had to go through those years through which you write? Does it have an effect on your writing?
Well, I mean, only in this regard that I think what happened to me then felt like an isolated, weird, bizarre event, without a context for it. And now I think it's happening to all of us. So I think in that sense, I can use the experience of what happened to me to think about what's happening on a much, much bigger scale now.
Does it color how you look at this Iran nuclear deal that's about to be voted on this month?
Well, I have great suspicions about the Iranian regime, but on the other hand, I also think, we've tried war. We've had, ever since 9/11, there have been wars, first in Afghanistan, then in Iran, hasn't made the world a safer place. In fact, probably the opposite.
Is it fair to call you a lapsed Muslim? Is that?
No, that's not strong enough.
So you're an atheist?
Yes.
But you were a Muslim?
No.
You were never a Muslim?
No, my family, luckily for me, was not a religious family. So I grew up excused religion. I've always thought it was the greatest gift my parents gave me.
Well, unfortunately, that destroys the segue to this question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. You're a New Yorker now. I mean,
Yeah.
you live in New York City. When you see, when you witnessed, I'm sure you've seen it 1,000 times like the rest of us, Donald Trump, his non-response to that guy in Rochester, New Hampshire. It said the problem in America, we know what it is, it's Muslims.
Yeah.
When you see Dr. Ben Carson say he can't see a Muslim as President of the United States, what's your reaction to that?
I just think it's a real shame that the quality of public discourse in this country has been dragged so low. You know, this is not the way in which presidential candidates should talk. I mean, it's the way in which clowns on a clown show should talk.
And do you think it's motivated by sincere beliefs, even though grotesque, or is it motivated by playing to the peanut gallery, your peanut gallery?
No, it's playing to the lowest common denominator, I'm afraid, and there are too many candidates in this race doing that.
We only have 30 seconds left. Do you work on something new when you're marketing something currently?
No. I mean, no. When I'm running around like this, I focus on talking to you.
You were an ad guy, yes, when you were young and irresponsible?
I was.
Does that color how you do, like, your book tours and all that?
Only that it taught me how to do it like a job. You know, just I go to the office in the morning, sit there 9 to 5, do your day's work, get it done. I mean, Mad Men and I overlapped. At the very end of Mad Men, that's when I was working at advertising.
That's perfect. By the way, you failed. You're supposed to mention the name of your book like 13 times in the middle of an interview, but
it's very long.
Salman Rushdie, it's a pleasure to see you. Again, the book title, 2 years, I'll say it, 8 months and 28 nights. Great to see you.